Good evening. My name is Deborah Wilson, and for several years now I've been advocating for willing taxpayers and encouraging you to get the most bang for our buck out of our village manager and our expectations of him. Recently he was quoted in the newspaper as there was a local restaurant that closed, and he said that unfortunately there was no communication about that. And he said it in such a way as if it was the restaurant's fault that the village didn't know. This was a prime example of his incompetency and his lack of high expectations for his department heads beneath him. One thing that I noted in the newspaper, there's some neighboring towns had, the Chamber of Commerce had talked about, they were aware of how many businesses were in town and the licenses. I wasn't able to get that from our Chamber of Commerce. The communication with the economic developer is not there. Several months ago, many months ago, I made a FOIA request to a nearby municipality after reading that our economic developer had done work for them and obtained I think it was a $25,000 or $35,000 contract for a market analysis, something for retail in that town. And it occurred to me that, how does he have time to do that when he should be, in my opinion, giving all his time to Wheeling? And so I did a FOIA request to that municipality asking for phone records, and Jim Ferrolo, as shrewd of an attorney as he is, represents that municipality as well, and buried me with literally reams of paper. Their staff had to use a dolly to get all the paper of all those phone records out, because he knew that eventually Ms. Wilson would go through line by line and find what time of day, what the timestamps were on those phone calls to see if any of the work he was doing for this nearby municipality was on Wheeling's time. About a year ago, I had come to the mic and had criticized the village manager for allowing him to have a business. I was criticized fiercely by Trustee Papantos. She defended the employee, saying that, he was very transparent when he was hired. And actually her criticism of me actually supports my point further. The fact that the village manager allowed this to happen, even though the man was fully disclosed that he had this side business. So he was economic developer. He didn't have time to be doing relationships with our restaurants and with all of our businesses. There was no communication. To the detriment of Wheeling taxpayers. I'm very concerned. My second issue is the wisdom of this board to spit at money being offered to us by the state and some developers. We had on Milwaukee Avenue, the state of Illinois offered $15 million in grant money to build a residential housing, affordable housing that would make it easier for our factory workers to be able to afford to live here. We have one of our largest employees, I believe it's Argus Plastics, employs several hundred people. And he has to bus, he has actually a bus he sends to Chicago to pick up his employees to drive them to work when he closed down whatever that plant was in Chicago and opened up here, because they can't afford to live here. And the fact that Mr. Clicker said, our new community development guy said, oh no, I'm not going to approve that. I'm not even going to let you go before the board to ask. This is grant money. You spit on $15 million from the state of Illinois to put good development on La France, that's been vacant forever. Okay, so I think if Spondylus was going to really do anything to revitalize Restaurant Row, we would have had a restaurant here in all the years. It's empty. There's nothing else going on. 15 million they're laying down. Then we got the 17 acres. 40 million Opus. Guy named Josh from Opus, you didn't like that because he wasn't using every single lot of land. They were going to use 40 million of their own money, not asking for TIF. I don't know any other developers that have that kind of money to lay out to develop the vacant land on Lake Cook Road. I I think these decisions are really unwise. And Wheeling taxpayers, this is why you're